Hello, people. Now, does God's original creation intent overshadow or outweigh His law? And I would say it doesn't. Most people will say it doesn't, but there's always one thing that they'll have an exception for one thing. They will say, except for polygyny, but where that one situation that the original intent or the so-called original intent trumps, polygyny. I mean, if that's the case, then the original intent would have to trump everything. All the laws that would break the original intent. Such as celibacy, because God didn't intend man to be alone. That was His original intent, right? Wearing clothes would be a violation of the original intent, because God created Adam and Eve naked. Eating meat would be against the original intent because they were vegetarians back then. And also work would be against God's original intent, because Adam really only had one job, and that was to name the animals. He didn't work fields or anything. He got hungry. He walked over to a tree, picked an apple or something, and ate it. That was the extent of his work. And on all these things, people will say, well, what about this verse? What about that verse? Well, does that verse outdo the original intent there? If it does, then when it comes to marriage or having multiple wives, that would also mean that Exodus 21:10 will trump the original intent there. What does Exodus 21:10 say? That makes it says, if a man takes another wife, then her food, clothing, and marital rights shall he not diminish. So that trumps the original intent. So, God's law trump whatever happened in the Garden of Eden. That's not up for debate, and it cannot just be for one subject. If it's one of those things where it's either all or nothing. If the original intent trumps the biblical law there, then the original intent also trumps the laws on celibacy, trumps the laws on clothing. It trumps the laws that allows us to eat anything but meat. Because if it trumps the law in one area, it has to trump the law, and what even stuff that's in the New Testament would have to trump them in all areas. Which would mean if you're not walking around as a naked vegan forager who doesn't work, and if you're single, you are breaking the original intent just as much as somebody who's got multiple wives would be breaking it. Because guess what? There are laws, like I just said, Exodus 21:10, that say, that dictate plural marriage. So which is it? Does these laws trump original intent? Do all laws from the New Testament and Old Testament trump in original intent? Or does original intent trump all those laws in both New and Old Testament?